Welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have you here. I'm Jenny Ann Chondo, and I'm here each week as your host for these SARE National events. These really are remarkable events that bring all of us together to become more educated, to become more informed. I always leave with a takeaway, and I think that a lot of you do as well. So if you were here last week, you are familiar with our speaker today. She was definitely, I would say, a fan favorite among everybody. She is Ana Hernando, and among other things, she's highly educated, but she's here today to talk about the realm of her profession where she is a certified self-talk trainer. Self-talk trainer. And if you're like, what is that? She is going to explain and she's going to get into it. So she's really passionate about integrative wellness, which is embedded in the work that one's engaged in. She also holds a bachelor's degree in kinesiology, a master's degree in occupational therapy, and a master's in business administration. This is a woman who loves to go to school and a woman who loves to teach as well, as we learned from last week's session. She is a certified self-talk speaker and trainer, as I mentioned, certified life coach, also a certified wellness practitioner, and certified resilience and thriving facilitator. So what she does is she focuses on empowering people to reclaim their purpose to live meaningful, purposeful, and satisfying lives. And so this really pertains to anybody in any industry. She has been a guest speaker for many different groups, including American Airlines Professional Women in Aviation, the Texas Autism Conference, MOPS International, Mothers of Multiples, Texas Physical Therapy Association, and I could go on and on and on. But listen, we only have an hour together. So without further ado, I want to welcome in Ana. And again, as we go, I just want to remind you, if you have any questions, type them in the chat and I will be engaging with you as we go. And during that last little section, after Ana wraps up, we'll do the Q&A. All right, Ana, good to see you again. We are so excited for part 2.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. I'm so excited to be back. I really am. I know that phrase so excited gets a little overthrown. So I'm very energized by everybody joining us. And so I'm going to share my screen. So what we're going to talk about today is actually using the power of goal setting to basically set your goals that actually work. And if you had the opportunity to join us live last week, I shared about the 7 elements of neuroplasticity and how you can actually use neuroscience to help you achieve what it is that you want to achieve in your business. And no, not just your business, but really your whole life. And so last week I shared those 7 tenets. And the first one was mindfulness. The second was choices. Third was intention. The fourth was focus. The fifth was repetition. The sixth was emotion. And the seventh is belief. And so today we're really going to take that number 4 one, focus, and really teach you how you can get more focus through the practice of goal setting. Many people think that you're just born with focus. And the truth is, we're not. Focus is a skill, and skills are things that we can all learn with practice. Okay. And so, one of the tried and true ways of gaining focus is to actually write goals. You're going to see throughout my slides today that down at the bottom, I have a link. Last week, I shared a link on how you can get 30 days of self-talk reprogramming for free. And so the link is going to be down on the bottom of my slides. Feel free to write it down, use it, log into it, and get 30 days. Because as I'm talking about things that you can do, you'll be able to actually carry that over for 30 days free, and you can work on reprogramming your mind using the tools of neuroplasticity and actually learning how to stay focused on your goals. Okay. So we mentioned all my ABCs behind my name, and basically what you said, Jenny, is true. It's great. I'm a collector of knowledge, but knowledge is only good if you can share it. And so I'm really grateful to Sam Negocios for allowing me to share all this wonderful knowledge. When I started out with goal setting, many people don't realize that in the health realm, have an occupational therapist, which means I've worked in nursing homes, I worked in home health, I worked in hospital settings, and people don't know that your care is created through goals. Your doctors are writing goals, your nurses are writing goals, your therapists are writing goals. And so of course I was writing goals. And we have to write goals for insurance purposes because that's really how they look at whether we were able to achieve what we needed to achieve with the patient to actually be reimbursed, to be paid. And I started to look at how we were writing goal setting, goals for them. And a huge thing is how many of you have actually looked at your doctor or your nurse or your therapist and sat down with them and looked at the goals that they wrote for you? We don't do it. And I started to really notice how that was a huge disconnect. I was writing goals for my patients, but I didn't key into their goals and I didn't apply it to them. And I didn't even share with them what I was writing. So it wasn't making it relevant. So, I've mentioned before on the previous one, I was trained by Dr. Shad Helmstetter personally. And in that, he has a whole program on goal setting. And when I took that, I looked at how we could apply that to our patient care. And when I started using this goal setting practice with my actual patients and clients, I really started to see the success. I use it for myself, but then with my patients and clients, and it really does work. It really helps with the focus. And so I want you to look at this banner on this side. This banner here is a poster from an event that a teenager put on. So you think, how in the world does a teenage entrepreneur achieve putting on a music festival? So June 5th, 2015, my son graduated from high school, and his goal when he started his senior year was to put on a music festival. He wanted to get all of his fellow music artists into one event and showcase the local talent. He was 17 years old. So we had to look at, how does somebody do this? So when you're thinking, I don't know if goal setting will work for me. Well, if this plan of goal setting can work for a 17-year-old to put on a music festival where he featured lots of different artists, he had over 300 people attending, and it was in an arts district in an old theater. He had vendors there, he sold tickets, all of these things, everything came from goal setting. And so I'm going to work you through that and share with you a little bit more, okay? So the thing is that when we're writing goals or to go anywhere, we have to know where. We all say, I want to go on vacation. That's very common for people. I want to go on vacation. Do you know where you want to go? If you don't know where you want to go on vacation, chances are you're never going to take a vacation. So to go anywhere, you have to make a choice on where you're going to go. You need to make a choice as to how fast you want to get there. This is also a very common thing. People will write goals all the time, or what I like to call them are dreams. But they never apply a date to them. They never put a timeline on them. Okay? It's always someday. Someday I'd like to go on vacation, which means no day I will go on vacation. To go anywhere, you need to make a choice of what you're willing to do to get there. You need to be willing to give up certain things in order to get what it is that you want to get. And this is something that people really struggle with, because it seems like we're giving up this now because we're not going to get this over here. We have missed out on this delayed gratification, or as I mentioned in neuroplasticity, and when I shared in my mindset workshop at the SARE conference, we're so worried about what everybody else is going to say or our obligations to everybody else that we start to feel bad and we miss out. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say you have a goal in your business to hit a certain mark by the end of the month in your sales. But there's your niece's quinceañera this Saturday. There's Mother's Day coming up. There's Easter just finished. There's a baptism that you need to go to. There's a wedding anniversary. All of those things are not going to help you get to where you want to go. And so we need to be willing to give those up in order to focus on what we want. And the reason why we don't want to do that is because we're worried about what people are going to say about us. We're worried about hurting their feelings. If you're serious about achieving what you want to achieve, you'll be willing to let go of those obligations. A 17-year-old senior year in high school wants to put on a music festival at the end of the year. How many Friday night football games do you think he missed out on? How many birthday parties do you think he missed out on? How many late night pizza runs do you think he missed out on? Because he was looking at, how do I make the money to put on this? He was constantly focused on that. So he missed out a lot from the 17-year-old's perspective. But from an entrepreneurial perspective, he gained a lot because he put on his event. So to go anywhere, you must be willing to review and make adjustments if you get off course. And it's okay to get off course, because a lot of us do, but you have to know when you need to adjust. So put this back into, somebody's got a quinceañera. Your niece has a quinceañera. This is a distraction, but let's say this quinceañera is at a venue where you know certain people are going to be there that are going to be able to help your business, or they're going to be able to connect you to others in your business. So that's one where you would still go to the quinceañera with the intention. Last week I shared about neuroplasticity intention, with the intention of connecting to those people. So that brings you back onto the course of your goal. So you have to make these decisions. You can't just say, I'm going to open a business. I'm going to have this. You have to be very specific. If somebody were to tell you, hey, go move that mountain over there, how many of you would just go, okay, and start trying to move the mountain? I want to encourage you to ask questions. Where do you want me to move the mountain? How much time do I have to move the mountain? What tools and resources do I have to move the mountain? How much is it going to cost me to invest in moving the mountain? What am I going to get on my return? Because all of this is going to let you go back to this choice. Is moving the mountain a goal for me and my business? See, the purpose of goals are to provide an end result for a direction of effort, right? It doesn't do you any good, like I said, to get in your car and say, we're going to go on vacation, and get in the car and just sit there. You don't know where you're going. You're not ever going to get out of the driveway. Goals are also to set a level of achievement. Now, that's not to say that, you're overachieving. That's a phrase that a lot of people say, you're an overachiever. It's to say that, where's my satisfaction? It's a level of achievement for myself and my satisfaction. It's a level of achievement for my business. If your business enables you to serve 15 people today, and you want to double that by the end of the year, that net means that you're not just making more money on that, but you're serving 30 people. So the level of achievement is not always has to be focused on money, but where are you growing? And that's really why we're here on this planet, is to expand and grow, not to stay in the same place. It's to experience life, and setting a level of achievement helps you to do that. Goals also help to bring into manifestation your desired outcome. What do you want? What do you want to have? What do you want to experience? What do you want to share? Because until you can define what it is that you want, you're just spinning your wheels. I firmly believe that we're always given what we ask for. The problem is, we don't ask, or we don't know what we want to ask for. So we're never given anything, right? Goals also provide a purpose. They get you engaged in your community, in your environment, in your family. They provide you a purpose. So many people have a goal to retire, but none of them know at what age they want to retire, what do they want to do with retirement, and how much money they want to be living off of. So many people want to retire, but they don't have anything else to help them retire. And the other thing that goals do is they help you set a level of accountability of progress. Now, most of us really get a little quirky when it comes to accountability. We think that that's somebody scolding us, because the majority of us grew up in an environment where we got report cards and they gave us progress. And if we weren't doing good, most of us got scolded or punished or reprimand. And if we were doing good, we got a little pat on the back or a small reward. So most of us don't like having accountability. Accountability is important because it does let you know of your progress. It also helps you know, is this still something you want? If you're not being held accountable, you're not just going to be spinning your wheels, wasting your time, wasting your energy, wasting your money. And so why do it? So having goals helps you gauge where you are, helps you pivot, helps you go and see what resource you need to add, see what distraction you have, and gives you permission to say no. So it really does set a level of accountability for your progress. There are many different types of goals. There are what are called short-term goals, so you can do a 30, 60, or 90. If you've ever worked for a company, most of the time, if you've been put on a performance improvement plan, they'll do a 30, 60, or 90-day goal for you to get improvement. In the medical world, we also do use 30, 60, 90-day. Then you have long-term goals, which are 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, sometimes even 10 years. Many times when you meet with a financial planner or somebody else as a coach, they're going to ask you many times, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you see yourself doing in 10 years? There's a couple of reasons for that. One is to help see where they can help you make goals, but two is to give you permission to dream. So many of us have pity pattered our dreams aside because of how we grew up, what our families told us, what society tells us, and we bought into that programming. So if you're looking at 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, it's really to give yourself that permission to dream. And so in 10 years, where do you want to be? In 5 years, where do you see yourself? And then you have what are called big, hairy, audacious goals. There is a book written by Jim Collins called Good to Great. It's one of his first books. And he talks about big, hairy, audacious goals. And so what he means by that is that you should write a goal so big that it makes you quiver inside. It makes you feel uneasy because it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. And where I definitely agree that we need to have big, hairy, audacious goals, I also believe that there needs to be goals prior to that. Because if you only set a big, hairy, audacious goal, that little fear that comes up inside of you can actually be debilitating and you will not achieve it. So when we're writing goals, we want to write goals that stretch us, but ones that we absolutely know with our best effort we can achieve. So what I mean by that, if you just opened your business and your big, hairy, audacious goal is to clear $10 million in the first year, that might be stretching it a little bit. Okay. Not to say that you can't, but it might be stretching yourself just a little bit, giving one, what's your business, two, what's the economy, inflation, laws, all these other things. So when you're writing that big, hairy, audacious goal, yes, okay, I'm going to be a $23 million company in 10 years, in 5 years. So when you're writing that goal, go big, but also keep in mind that time frame. Another very common type of goal is called a SMART goal. And it's an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And that's from George Duran. And so very much specific and measurable. This is where you're going to calculate all the little things. So if your goal is to gain another $4,000 in sales this week, my goal is to do $4,000 in sales this week. And now how am I going to do that? What is it relevant to my business? Why is that? This is the week that I'm going to do it specifically. If it's, then you're going to break that down into how much do I need to do per day? Right? So it's getting very much specific and measurable. And can I achieve that? In realistic, can I achieve that $4,000 this week? And this has to go with our rewards and punishment. If we set out a carrot, a dangling little carrot, and we want to achieve it, but that carrot keeps moving and it seems like it's 5 miles away instead of 5 feet away, we're going to give up on it. We're just going to quit. That's the nature of humans. There's also passive goals. Now, passive goals are where you're told what a problem is and you're told what the desired outcome is. In other words, if you have family members that are telling you what your business goals should be and they're telling you what they want it to be, then you might program that in of like, I need to do that. It's an obligation, it's an expectation. And so you might passively absorb that into your goal setting. But what you really want, if you're an entrepreneur and small business owner, really just anybody, you want to have active goals because it's your life. It's your dreams. It's your desires. So active, get engaged in your life. Stop being a bystander in your life. Get engaged and write active goals. This is where you tell yourself what your problems and your challenges are and what your desired outcome is. Last year was 2021. In 2020, I had a goal that I wanted to take my entire family on a beach house vacation. My mother and father tend to host foreign exchange students, and they had these two young girls. One was from Mexico and Pueblo, and the other one was from Germany, and they came. And the one from Pueblo, of course, had been to beaches before, but the one from Germany had never been to a beach. And so I told my parents, and my parents don't ever take time off. They have a 10-acre farm, and they never take any time off. And so I really wanted to take them to the beach, not just to the beach. I wanted them to wake up in a beach house, look out at the ocean, and see the dolphins in the morning. I wanted them to hear the waves. I wanted them to get up and be able to walk on the beach. I wanted them to be able to sit out in the sun or sit underneath the canopy. I had very specific things that I wanted to share with them to experience. I wanted the beach house to be located to where they could very easily walk to the boardwalk if the young teenagers wanted to do that. Also, if the older ones wanted to walk to the bars at the night, they could walk to the bars to the night, right? I had very specific things that I wanted to be able to have them experience. And so I desired an outcome. I desired to have this beach house. I don't know if any of you have ever rented a beach house, but to rent a beach house that can accommodate 4 different families and sleep that many people with bathrooms and be comfortable and be on the beach typically runs about $10,000 for a week. Okay. So I had a very specific goal. I wanted to rent this beach house. And so what I did was I went in and I reserved the beach house, which meant I had to put a deposit down. And so I was like, okay, I made this very real. I put the deposit down. I printed out the picture of the beach house, and I mapped out what I needed to do in order to cover the deposit and pay for the beach house. Now, my business was already making money, but this was something extra, right? My business is making its money, but I had something I wanted to spend quite a bit of money on. And so I had this mapped out. And so I desired as my outcome, not an extra $10,000 in my business. I desired in my outcome to have a memorable, enjoyable experience for myself and my family. So if you remember, and if you haven't, go back and listen. Last week, we talked about neuroplasticity and emotion. Is there an emotional connection to making $10,000? Yeah, because that's pretty cool to make $10,000. But is it a more stronger emotional connection to say, I want to be able to afford to share loving experiences of the beach with my family? That's a stronger emotion. So that's where that tied into that neuroplasticity. And then I had to list out what were going to be my challenges. Well, hello, we're in a pandemic. How am I going to be able to make an extra $10,000? Okay, what do I need to do? And so then I had to map that out. So how do we do all that kind of stuff specifically? You have to write clear, specific, written down goals with your action steps. Helping you with accountability, participate in some type of coaching. And then commitment is reading your goals daily. These are the facts when it comes to goal setting: focus, accountability, and commitment. With focus, we're going to talk about specifically how you write those goals down. But accountability, I highly recommend participating in some type of coaching program, some type of mentorship program, or even some type of mastermind program. You want to share your goals with somebody who's not going to judge you. I say that very clearly because if you share them with somebody who might judge you, like a spouse or your parent or some other family member, it can turn into a little bit of friction within your relationship. So I would highly recommend you seek somebody who's going to be a nonpartisan participant. And sometimes that helps with your paying for a coach, because the coach is going to help you. And a coach will lovingly call you on your baloney, versus if your family member calls you on your baloney, you might get defensive. Okay. And then your commitment is you want to read your goals daily. This is where most people fail. They'll write down goals and they'll put them in a book and they'll leave them to the side. Your goals should be where you can see them all the time. Now, I'm not going to flip my computer around because then it would totally mess up. And I think Raul would get a little upset with the changing of the lighting, and I just messed up the little presentation. So, but I want to tell you that this is my office space and my laptop is in front of me. And for myself, I have my goals on those really big Post-its, my goals for the year, and they're up there. So I'm seeing them throughout the day. You want to read your goals first thing in the morning because that's when your mind is fresh. And you want to read your goals right before you go to bed. The reading before you go into bed is very powerful because as you are resting, as you are sleeping, your subconscious mind will start to make the neural connections line up for you. So the next morning, when you reread your goals, things will be a lot more easy. You will have the focus. Okay. It's very cool to watch that happen. How things will just seem like they'll just fall to the side because you are laser beam focused. So here are the keys to goal setting. Number one, you're going to write the goal. And it's going to be, I have $10,000 to apply for a beach location for my family and friends. Whatever the goal is for you, right? I have achieved 15 new clients this month, right? Whatever that is. And then you're going to date it. Like I said, this month, this year, what's the time frame that you want it to be in the next 30 days? So Jenny mentioned I'm getting my dissertation. I'm working on my PhD. There are cutoff times as to when I can actually go through graduation. There are 2 times a year, and your paper, your dissertation has to be signed by the dean of the university by certain dates. And so on my goal, it says right there, number one, the number one goal, because this is my focus this year. Number one goal is my dissertation is signed by the dean by August 15th of 2022. Do I know that that's 100% going to happen? No, because the dean has something to say with it. But my goal for me is to have it by then. So I have the goal. Then you're going to list 1 to 3 obstacles. This is critical because this is where people mess up. Okay? You want to list the obstacles because things are going to come up to trip you up. There are going to be things like Mother's Day. There are going to be things like Christmas. There are going to be things like everybody else is going to Cancun. Why can't I go? Right? These are things that are going to come up. You want to list out what are the obstacles that could come in front of you, right? And the reason why is because you're going to actually write action steps to overcome them. So I'll break this down a little bit and a little bit easier so that everybody can understand. As a certified wellness practitioner, I work with a lot of people who want to lose weight. And so many times they'll come and I want to lose X number of weight by so-and-so's wedding. Great. So we have that. Now, what are obstacles that are come up? Well, we have Memorial Day barbecue, we have 4th of July barbecue, we have a quinceañera, we have a birthday party, we have a retirement party. All of these things are actually obstacles to somebody who's trying to lose weight. Why? Because there's lots of food and lots of drinking and lots of celebration, and all those things are hard for somebody who is trying to lose weight. So we have listed the obstacles, and now what are the action steps that we're going to take? So Memorial Day is coming up in the middle of it. Great, you're going to go to so-and-so's barbecue. You're going to take the food that you are going to eat at the barbecue. This is your action step. You are going to take your water thermos and only drink water at the barbecue. You are going to limit the amount of time you are at the barbecue. So 2 hours tops. So we have action steps. Now, in this one example, we don't date each action step because we're going to be at the barbecue, right? And then up until the time of that barbecue, we're going to be reviewing this every day. So let me tell you how I went with my son. The goal for my son was to put on a music festival on June 5th of 2015. That's the end of the. Then we had to list out all the things that it needed. What does an event like that take? We need a venue. We need artists. We need to decide, are the artists going to get paid? We need to decide, are they going to agree to it? Are they going to be committed to it? We needed to decide how we were going to sell the tickets. Were we going to do Eventbrite? Were we going to do online? Were we going to take cash? We needed to decide all these different things. All of these were action steps, and we had to put in the obstacles. The obstacles being, I'm 17. Can I sign a contract at 17 years old to book a venue? We need insurance for the event. You need event insurance. Will they allow a 17-year-old? Who's going to co-sign if not? Right? So we had to put all these different sets, and by when? We needed to secure the insurance, event insurance, within 60 days of the actual event. We needed to have commitment from the other artists within 6 months of the event in case they bailed. Then we needed to have time to find another one. So we had to really look at what are all the things that coulda, woulda, shoulda come up during this time. So we had steps to come through. The reason why you want the action steps to overcome the obstacles, because if an obstacle is big enough and you haven't thought about it, it'll wipe you out and you'll quit. It'll stop you. So you want to make sure that when you're writing them out, get to the middle steps, and when do you have to have them back? This can be seen as project management. You start with the end in mind and you work your way backwards. But the critical part is reviewing those daily. My son had a huge whiteboard in his room. We decided we put that. And we put the indies all over here and we worked backwards. So every day when he got up, he saw it. And when his friends came over and looked in his room, they're like, dude, you're weird. He's like, I'm focused, right? He knew what he was going to do. It enabled him to come up with, what was I going to say to my friends when I couldn't go here? If they were going to make fun of me for not going to so-and-so's party, what was I going to say? If you already have your response planned out, it doesn't catch you off guard. Your emotion is removed from it and enables you to stay true to you and what you desire. Barbecues are going to come and go. Quinceañeras are going to come and go. So what is critically important for you in achieving what it is that you want to achieve? So looking back at this event, do you think you could have put this on? Do you think at 17 that you would have been that focused? And I tell you, you could have been. Because you know now how to write the goals. You know what it takes. You have to have a clear vision of what it is that you want to achieve. You have to know, where am I going if I'm going to sit in this car? Without that, you will not achieve anything. When we look at business, a lot of times we call this your vision. What's your vision? And many people will write out their vision, but they don't do anything else with it. And goals are not a bad thing. Many of us go, oh, who wants to write a goal? I have a goal. It's a goal. You want to have those because otherwise you're going to look back on your life. You're going to look back on your vision and be like, what did I do? What do I have to show for it? What did I like? What was fun for me? And when you can achieve what it was, you look back and you have a sense of satisfaction. It's not pride, it's satisfaction because you did what you wanted. You produced what you wanted to produce. You achieved what you said you wanted to achieve. You made the impossible possible, all because you took time to identify what it was that you wanted, write out the goals, look at the obstacles, create the action steps to overcome those obstacles, and you reviewed it day and night. So I have a little example, a little exercise for you guys, because we have a few more minutes here. I want you to look at the chart in front of you and go ahead and write a goal that you have right now. What's something that you have? And it doesn't have to be huge. It can be in your personal life or it can be in your business. But write out a goal. So I coach a lot of people that are in network marketing, and today is the 28th. And many times at this time, people are looking back at how many sales, what was my sales goal at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the month? And it's almost the end of the month. And I'm short of my goals or my sales goal this much. So we'll write out a new goal. What do you want to achieve in the next 3 or 4 days of the month? Okay. And that's where we have the date. What's that completion date? When do you want to have that? So they would write a goal of, let's say they needed another $5,000 in their sales. So they would say, I will have $5,000 in sales by April 31st, midnight. What are the obstacles? It's the weekend. The weekend's coming up. That's an obstacle for people because especially if it's going to be sunny, they might, easily want to go to the lake or go sit outside or go hiking or go camping. List out what are the obstacles to those goals. Or something more serious could have happened, right? There could have been a fire and the phone lines are down. So what are the obstacles that are going to come up? And what action steps are they going to do to overcome that? Okay, so my obstacles are it's the weekend. I have a lot of my customers are out of town. Okay, what can I do to overcome that? I'm going to reach out to them on social media. I'm going to send them a text. I'm going to spend 2 hours. I'm going to personally call each one of them. I'm going to go through and see when's the last time that they ordered. Is there a product that's on sale that I can offer them? I'm going to go in and I'm going to do that. And when am I going to do that? Okay, Saturday between 10 and 12, I'm going to sit down and make my phone calls. Right. And then each day reviewing that lineup. So if you have this in front of you, I challenge you to take this time and write yourself a goal, give it the date, list your obstacles, write those action steps, put your date to take that action step. Even if it's 3 days, you can do it if you write out a goal and you stay focused by reviewing them before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. When you actively engage in your goal setting, remember, active is key because that's you owning your life. You're writing down that goal and you're identifying any of the parameters, any of the things that can be in the way, the obstacles. What do you see? What could possibly, everybody always says, well, what could possibly go wrong? Write down what could possibly go wrong. Think about it. What could possibly go wrong? And then it happens. Your water heater completely goes out and there's water dripping everywhere. And your choices are throw everything up in the air and say, oh my gosh, this is it. And I turn off and I got to sit here and wait. Or you turn off the water, you call your insurance company, you say, hey, my water heater went out. I can't work on it right now. We're going to table it till Monday because I've got stuff to do this weekend and I'm focused on my goal. So what could possibly go wrong or come up so that you have a plan now to overcome those? Write in your completion dates and have them in sight. Put them on sticky notes for you. If you have a car, most people do, put your sticky note there on your car so you see your goal. What am I working on? And so when anybody says, why are you working so hard? Because many times we get that. We either get, we're not doing enough for our business, or we get, oh my God, you're just so involved in your business, right? So you'll be able to say, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm working on. I'm working on a trip for us to go to Costa Rica for 7 days. How cool is that? That's what I'm working on. What are you working on? I'm working on this is a car that I want to get. And so that's one of the things too, when you're writing your goals, take a few minutes and become mindful. That was the first step in neuroplasticity. Become mindful. What does it feel like when you've achieved that goal? So I'll use the example of the beach house. I would feel the sand in my toes. I would visualize my mom coming up and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so much fun." I would actually hear my little niece giggling and throwing water everywhere she played. I would see the teenagers making the sand castles and watching the water come up. I would hear the older kids coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning when the bars had closed. I was feeling all of this because that made it real. And that made me that much more motivated to achieve what it was that I was wanting to do. Every single one of you can achieve what it is that you want to do. If you write it out, give yourself the time frame, list those obstacles and the steps to overcome them, and then go get them. If you find that you have an obstacle that's too big or you're not going to be able to complete it by the date that you said, just ask yourself, is this still what I want? And then adjust the date. Many times people say it's a deadline. And even Dr. Shad said, you want a deadline. I don't use the phrase deadline. I use the phrase completion date because a deadline implies that if I don't finish it, I'm going to die. And my dreams and goals are always alive and they're always active. So I have a completion date. I want to complete it by this day. However, I know that if I don't complete it by that date, my dream's not dead. I just need to adjust it a little bit. Just a tweak here and there. So, the most successful way for us to reprogram our brain is to actually listen to self talk. Self talk is different from affirmations. Affirmations are more like if you think about a bumper sticker, you'll see something, you'll read it real quick, and it'll make you smile. Self talk is actually what you say to yourself. And this can be great and positive, but for most of us, it's negative. This is that little voice in the head that says, "Oh, so you want to get a beach house for everybody? Really? You think you can do that? Do you think they'll even want to go? Do you think they'll care? Why do you want to take them on a beach house? What do you want to do that with them for? Do you even like your family? Oh my gosh, come on." Right? This is that little voice that says you cannot get an extra $10,000. It's impossible for you to raise an extra $10,000 in 6 months. No way. It's that. By reprogramming your brain for success, and this means listening to recorded self-talk recordings, you'll hear, I can achieve what it is that my heart desires. Anything I can perceive, I can achieve. Writing goals of success is good for me. I write a plan and I follow my plan. And so this QR code here gives you that access. On each of the slides, I had written out the link, but this QR code will give you that access for 30 days. There is actually recording on how to master your goals. So if you're somebody who's like, I just can't even start writing a goals, I don't like to write goals, I feel like it's punishment, I feel like it's my mom saying I wasn't allowed to go to the skating rink unless my room was cleaned every single day. And I got a little star every single day that I clean my room. The day that I didn't clean my room, I got a little frowny face. So, for those of you who have that kind of programming, I would highly recommend that you listen to the self talk so you can reprogram your brain on how you perceive goals. Because goals really do enable us to achieve what it is that we want. They're just action plans for us to follow. And so that is a little bit of what I've got for you guys today. I know I saw some people asking a few questions. So, Jenny,
Yeah.
what do you want there?
Yeah, so just a reminder, everybody, with that QR code, if you're, and I know you went through it, but if you're not familiar, you just stick the phone up to it and it will take you to the link. it will populate it there, and it will bring it up on your phone. So just so everybody knows, that's kind of, where we're at on that. So yeah, I've got some really good questions, some really good comments. It's funny when you talk about it never even dawned on me that somebody might have that perspective of the sticker chart, because I'm definitely a goal setter myself, and I don't have any, I guess I'm thankful to not have any negative associations with it, but really important point for those who do, because I would hate for that to hold them up, that negative association. So got a really good question from somebody saying, what if you don't know what's stopping you? I've tried to complete my book since 2003, but I keep editing it. I just won't stop editing it, and I'm afraid to show others. What do you say to that person?
Ooh, yes. So that's definitely some self-talk on your belief and believing in incredible you. So I want to share with you something that one of my coaches shared with me. Why are you so selfish? Why are you so selfish? You have information. You have a book there. Why are you keeping it to yourself? So believing in incredible you is it. You putting it out there, sharing it with somebody, it's a vulnerability. Being afraid of what people are going to say to you, being rejected. But also, what if your book's a hit? What if your book is so amazing? You're so amazing with your book that you're the next feature on Oprah. So you wrote the book. Why? Why did you write the book? What was your goal in writing the book? Was your goal just to write the book and have a book? Or was it your goal to write a book that would impact your audience? So write out the goal of what it is next and then take the action step to do it.
Mm.
I know that might seem a little trivial, but if you write out the goal and you're reading that every day, I share my book with 3 people, and these are the 3 people. I send my book to an editor. I self-publish. I self-publish on Amazon, on Kindle. And here's the action steps. When are you going to do that by? And then you can share that, like I said, with somebody to help hold you accountable. If you want to send it to your minister, somebody within SARE, whoever that can hold you accountable, that they can call you up and say, hey, who did you share that book with? When did you get on Amazon to self-publish? When can I see it? I'm looking to share the link when it's out there. Surrounding yourself with that. Make a goal, put the action steps, have somebody help hold you accountable to it. Because you were gifted with something. You were gifted with a message that came out in a book. You need to share it, because otherwise it's just selfish. We're waiting for you. You have lives to touch. You have people to move. And that's only going to happen if you actually share the book. So write the goal, put the date, and have somebody help hold you accountable. But in that 30-day time, I would listen to the link that's believing in incredible you. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's great advice, and people are loving that and direct messaging me saying that they're enjoying this. So, we did get a question from somebody asking if you have a suggestion for a low cost coaching program, and I don't know if you would direct them also to that self talk app, if that's where you direct them, or if it would be elsewhere.
I would tell you to go to the self-talk app because it's free for 30 days. And I believe after that, it is like $20 or $30 a month. It's not very expensive. And so what there is, Dr. Shat actually has some recorded coaching programs in there. Many coaching programs that you're going to see online are definitely where you're going to either have recorded ones, you're going to have webinars, they're going to give you a 5-step program. And there's nothing wrong with those, but you have to see what's going to work well for you. So if you're looking for direct one-on-one coaching, I will tell you that will be more costly. And that's because you're getting this person who's just totally focused on you. There are some where they'll do group coaching, which is where you'll be in with like 6 other people and you'll get a segment of time to share what you're working on. And then there is the ones that are the recorded programs. So if you're looking for the least expensive, I would say plug into that self-talk app, because there are going to be some recorded coaching programs in there, and you can go from there. Um, I would love to say also that I'm sure that SARE has some type of mentorship program, and I would highly encourage you to connect with them and see what type of mentorship program that they have. And if you get a mentor, discuss with them what it is that you're looking for out of the mentor, and then be a good mentee by doing what they're sharing with you.
Oh, that the part where we have to do the work on it. That's interesting you bring that up, that we have to do some of it on our own. Somebody else is asking if you have any advice if they're wanting to become a life coach.
Sure. It all depends on what type of life coach you're wanting and what's your background. There's lots of different programs out there. And so I would look at there's the Federation of Coaches that's there. That's one that's really recognized. And then you have so if you're wanting to focus more on health, if you're wanting to focus on all over, you can also look at the National Wellness Institute because they have a lot of different coaching programs within there as well. So it's really based on what type of coach you want to be. If you're wanting to focus just on business, if you're wanting to focus on health, if you're wanting to focus on financial planning. So there's a lot of different ones. I would make sure that if you're looking into a coaching program, the highest dollar is not always the best. So see what's involved. What do they offer you? What do they share with you? If you're someone that has already quite a bit of education, let's say you have a master's in education, you're not somebody who actually needs to go get a coaching certification. That's one of the downfalls about coaches is that there is not a regulating board really in the United States, and pretty much anybody can call themselves a coach. So if you're shopping for a coach or even if you're looking to a program, see what's behind there. It's just like if you were going to go to college, you want to know what does this college do? How many people graduate? How many people who go through this program actually have money making business? Because a lot of people go through coaching programs and they're not making any money at the business. Okay. So it's great to say I'm a life coach, and where I am a life coach, that doesn't give me any more knowledge than being an occupational therapist. Truthfully, for myself, I don't need to have a life coach certification because my therapy certification entitles me to be called a coach. It's just that other people don't make that connection because people go, "What's an occupational therapist?" But so for me, it was easier just to tag that on. But again, what is it that you're wanting to share with people? And then go through. There's a big difference between coaching and doing therapy or psychoanalyst or counseling. Coaches are really there to help you develop your map, your goals, your action steps, and help hold you accountable. That's really what a coach does. They breathe life into you. They help you look at focus on where you want to go. Therapists and everything else looks at everything that's come up and you helps you deal with the past. Coaches there, it's not going to matter what happened over here. We need to focus here. Okay. So there's a big difference. And you can definitely use both because they're very both helpful. But if you're looking for a school, look online, but then look at what organizations do they belong to? Are they part of the Federation of Coaches? Are you looking for, which area are you looking to coach people in? And then ask the school, how many people graduate your program? And can you give me references of how many people will actually work in a business?
Wonderful advice. And just to follow up on the person who was asking about the book, just so you feel the love today, they're saying that you are so great and they think that you just changed their life. So
Thank you very much. I'm honored for that. I love that. That was my intention today to help you guys.
big hug on that. Somebody's asking if you have a goal worksheet of sort, and if not, I'm guessing we could just put pen to paper, but you tell me.
Yeah, so that template that's there in the slide, so I know some of you get the recording, you can just recreate that in your documents and use that. That's the template. That's the magic button right there. Those steps are how you make your goals.
Perfect. So you guys know the replay will be up next week, and for some reason, if you're on today and you were not here last week or didn't catch the whole session from last week, I highly recommend watching the replay of that and then watching the replay of this, and then you'll be able to go through and kind of pause on YouTube. It's on Sarah's YouTube channel, so you can just pause there and then type it out yourself. And I think sometimes I wonder if we're looking for a magic bullet, like, well, maybe if I use her worksheet, then I'll do the thing. Um,
Mhm.
do you ever find us, people sort of leaning into that, like, oh, well, I didn't have the right form or, you know, didn't have the right worksheet?
Yes, we're all afraid to mess things up. I always say it's like in the Dumbo movie, it's the magic feather, the magic feather.
Ah,
It's not the magic feather, it's the belief in yourself. So before there was even the little form, it was just like, write it out, write it out. Literally, the big 3M big post-it notes, you know the ones that I'm talking about? I have them somewhere here, where they have the huge, write it on there and stick it right in front of you so you can see it. It's just literally, here's my goal, this is my action step, and here's what I've got to, here are the obstacles and my action steps to overcome those. Write them out just like that. That's the template. That's the magic bullet. That's the magic feather, your magic feather in your hat to make you fly. And then the biggest part of that is listening to the self-talk, because that's going to be speaking that life into you,
yeah,
into you.
yeah, yeah, beautifully said. Now, what do you say to people who are too scared to make the big, hairy, audacious goal?
Then I'm going to say start with a goal.
Okay.
That's giving yourself that permission to dream, remember? And so many of us, we either weren't encouraged to dream because of life, or because of life, we've stopped dreaming. And so that big, hairy, audacious goal is giving yourself the permission to dream. And that might take a little while because some of us have gone through some pretty significant challenges. So just start with one. What do you want to have? It's almost the end of April. What do you want to do by the end of April? What do you want to do for May? So start with something like, in the next 30 days, I want this.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. Okay, Anna, where can people find you if they want to, perhaps they want to book with you or follow along or, learn from you, that sort of thing? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So my website is doctor spelled out Doctor, Anna, ANA.net. And so you can reach out to me on there. I've got a form capture on there. My contact information is on there. So you can absolutely reach out to me there. And if you want to email me, it's even more simple. It's Anna, ANA, at dranna.net. So you can even email me too.
And is it spelled out in that? Is it DOCTOR?
Yes.
Okay, I just typed that in the chat, everybody. Well, Anna, you're incredible. I hope that you know how much this audience appreciated you and your wisdom. And I know it's not easy to pour into groups like this, especially over the internet without being able to receive the faces back, but just know how much everybody sincerely appreciated you and all of your wisdom.
Well, I do have to share with you, I was sharing with Raul before we started. I actually have this is on my one, two, three, four, five. Yep, it is my fifth goal for the year. Actually I gave myself 2 years because I know it takes 2 years, is I'm a proficient Spanish speaker. So that is something I am actively working on so that I can add that to my abilities so I can share even more. So,
Amazing.
but it's a goal. I have it up there and I'm working on it. I do my little 30 minutes every day, and I'm a lot better than I was at the beginning of the year, but I still have a long way to go.
Well, I think that's really incredible, and I think that a lot of people on this call will be able to relate to that for not necessarily for Spanish, perhaps for Spanish, but perhaps for English or other languages, and picking up that second, third, fourth language can be really a lifelong challenge. So thank you for just being honest with us about what you're working through too, because sometimes we see the speakers and think, oh, well, they've already hit everything, they already know everything and have done everything. So Anna, we are cheering you on.
Thank you. I need it. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye.
Well, thank you to everybody. Thank you for being a great and engaged audience as always. So here's the deal. In the chat, we've got the link to Sarah's programs, and there's a wealth of programs in there. Also, the link to Sarah's YouTube channel. So last week's session's already up. this week's session, if you want to hit the replay, and maybe send it to family and friends. Share it with them. Let them be inspired too. Maybe you guys can goal set together. That will be up by next Wednesday. So like give yourself 6 days, and I put Dr. Anna's information up there as well. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Bye, Anna. Bye, everybody.